Set here is 7:45 here in Mukilteo. Temperature is about 53 degrees Fahrenheit, and we've got mostly, almost entirely clear skies here in the area. It's comfortable. The tide is way out. Take a look just how far the tide is out. Hey, nice to have you on board here, Peter. Pleasure. Nice to have you here from Grand Junction. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. The sun is just now setting behind Whidbey Island. And look how far the tide is out here, you guys. A lot of exposed beach right beneath this bluff, what makes it such a favorite spot for photography for me and a popular spot for others to enjoy the view. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Peter. Thank you, Kit. Is we have the train tracks right below, as Kit well knows. And when the tide is up, there's a drop off on that second rail there. And the tide will bring the water right up to below the railroad track. But boy, is the tide out right now. And we've got this beautiful, quiet scene. Hey, Tom. And Cosmic Rose is here. Hey, Cosmic Rose. Not only are you here, you can comment. I didn't understand your comment. I think you must have caught the replay on YouTube of this HAPS broadcast, and it said you couldn't comment, so I was a little confused. But I'm glad you're here live. Whidbey is an amazing place. I totally agree with you, Peter. I'm glad that you're getting to know Tom as well. Tom is on Whidbey Island, as his handle suggests, and he's very much an outdoor hike guy. He's got his dog Bella. He shares a lot of that on social media, and I've had the good fortune of having Tom along for a lot of my live broadcasts over the years, especially during the Periscope years. And Rita Moore is here. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for the high five. So, yeah, I managed to pull myself away from the basketball game, hoping that the sun won't set on Gonzaga's season in a sour way. You know, I'm here in Washington. I got to root for the local team, relatively speaking, local. But Baylor looks like a force, and they're hitting their shots. Those outside shots are falling today. Feel free to give me score updates, Tom, if you'd like. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I enjoy your scopes down at the beach and the sunsets as well. Had to read more. That's the south end of Whidbey Island out there. You know what? I'm recording it. I pulled myself away. I have a meeting tonight at 9 and I worked all day. Haven't gone for a walk. And I just needed, especially before my meeting tonight, I just need some fresh air and a view like this to get in my wise mind and make it a good meeting. And Cosmic Rose says, yes, something about it must have made me think it was a live broadcast. Ah, there you go. Welcome again, Tracy. Nice to see you here. Isn't this beautiful? And the water is so calm at this moment. And this is a historic cemetery. It's just absolutely a park-like setting. It's absolutely cool to be here. They encourage people to come here, but there's hardly ever anybody here. And so, you know, these are the early, mostly Anglo settlers of Mukilteo and their families are buried here. And at one point, up into the early 70s, I want to say, this was largely lost. And it took a really big effort by the mayor and volunteers and others to dig and clear brush and find these original grave sites. Thank you so much, Rita Moore. I appreciate it. And so you get benches, you know, and they're dedicated like benches often are. But what an awesome place just to find some solitude. And the cool thing is, you so often have bald eagles overhead, as I've done in shown in recent live broadcasts. In fact, we had two perched overhead the other day in a live broadcast on a gray day. That was a very gray day. But it's fun to watch the ferry go out. You lost the feed, Tom. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Normally we're pretty good when I drift over to the other side. But over the years, one of the nice things about um, broadcasting from here, because that's the wonderful thing about these live stream opportunities, is as I pointed out in the last broadcast, I don't get to see what many of you get to experience every day, and not everybody who is watching gets to experience something like that. This is Puget Sound. That's all salt water out there. We're about 30 miles north of Seattle, and there's a new ferry dock just around the bend. It used to be visible just through there when the ferry was in, but it's just around the bend. They spent a lot of money on it, and there are these two ferries that go back and forth between here and Mukilteo to right over there, the nearest island, Whidbey Island. And I can hear the rumble of the ferry leaving Whidbey Island right now. Carrie, you're in Vancouver, Canada. Fantastic. That's more of this, and it's glorious up where you're at. And right now, off of Vancouver Island, there, and not that it's not happening in pockets here in Puget Sound, but boy, I know in Nanaimo right now, for example, the herring spawn is just taking off, or has in recent weeks, to the point where in Nanaimo at Neck Point State Park, or it's not state park, it's just Neck Point Park. It's Canada, for goodness sakes. I guess it would be provincial park maybe, but no, it's Neck Point Park in Nanaimo. When it's low tide like this, the beach is just carpeted with millions of Pacific herring eggs right now. The ocean is the best thing ever. I'll tell you what. Um, Full disclosure, I wanted to agree with you, but then I also remember being on a boat once upon a time off of Southern California on a deep sea fishing thing, and that's not normally my thing. And I'm very much a landlubber, so to speak, because I get I get seasick, and boy, did I ever. So I want to see if we can how good the picture will be if we zoom in on the ferry. That we'll see much better in just a few minutes because it's heading this way. But let's take a look. Okay, a little blurry right now, but you can make it out just left of the center of your screen. We'll have a much better view of it shortly. And meantime, there will be a ferry leaving here. The two of them usually pass out there. Oh, there it is. It's leaving right now. Check it out. So it's leaving Mukilteo. Herring run is crazy. You lived in Tofino, Euclid, if I'm saying that correctly, 4 years, best surfing. Are the San Juans close by? For some reason, I remember Puget Sound being near. San Juans are nearby. They're out in that direction, further north. Think of Puget Sound as basically this horseshoe inlet from the Pacific Ocean into Washington State. And we have more than a smattering of islands. Those northern islands, especially as they extend northward towards and into Canada, are the San Juans. And what a lot of people don't realize, if you look at Vancouver Island, which is definitely Canada, right? You look at Victoria, which is a well known, if not the most well known place on Vancouver Island, it's actually south of points in Washington State. It's actually south of the, what is it, the 48th parallel? Help me out. That runs along the north of the US, dividing it from Canada. And there's even a little interesting pocket of land known as Point Roberts, which is not an island. And if you were to drive from Washington State on Interstate 5, for example, and go into Canada, you can go around Boundary Bay, head west, and then turn left going south a bit. And there's just this pocket of land that's beneath that parallel I was referring to. And so technically, it's the United States. So check out Point Roberts on the map, and you'll see that that is, not only is it in the United States, it's an awesome place for bald eagle viewing. The 49th parallel. There we go. Thanks, Hockey Rules. Victoria is definitely south of Point Roberts. There you go. Thank you, Carrie. I just don't think, I mean, you in British Columbia especially have this awareness, but I don't even think a lot of us, oh, here we go, the train. A lot of us here in even Washington State, I think, probably don't have the awareness of that there's a chunk of the US over there on the, attached to the Canadian mainland. A unique place. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We'll see it through the sticks here, the trees. So this is a Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. Dave says, please be careful. There has been sightings of the rare Puget Sound giant squid that has taken down those ferries you are filming right now. So there's my old high school friend David Abrahamson on Facebook with his wonderful sense of humor. It's headed north, that's for sure. So technically it's headed towards Vancouver, but it's either going to keep going north and into Canada, or it may very well take a right when it gets into nearby Everett, Washington, and head east and go over the Cascades. Tulip Festival's got to be coming up real soon. I don't know the dates, but it's probably later this month. Thanks for the emojis there, my friend. Tom and Kit, there you were, first in with the emojis. I missed them. I was looking around, head on a swivel. Now, a lot of times when we watch the train go by, we'll see these cars, but a lot of times we'll see coal, these open cars of coal, which for me is always kind of a sad sight, but it's a testimony, it's when especially when you see how long these trains are, just to how much coal is being transported. So here we go. We've got the train, the beach at low tide, and the ferries. All we now need now is a bald eagle and a California sea lion or two, and we'll have beyond the hat trick. So did I know that the west coast of Canada gets its gas diesel from a Washington refinery? I did not, but I'm going to guess that is it Sarco? It's probably from the refinery that's in. If that's the case, I would suspect it's from Anacortes, which is north of here, and it's a beautiful area. But I've been on Camano Island, which is just north of here, not as far north as Anacortes, and I've shot across Skagit Bay with my camera, and at night, especially when I was shooting Comet Neowise last year, and you could see the flames from the refinery in Anacortes. That's interesting, Carrie. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing the knowledge. There goes the train and the rumble, and by golly, I do see some California. What I no, no, I don't. No, I don't. Saw two things emerge, but they were groups of ducks. So I do keep an eye out for the California sea lions, because what they do is they hunt along these beaches just about anywhere from 20 to 40 yards offshore typically. It's like they're patrolling. They're chasing fish is what they're doing. They go back and forth. They come this way and then they turn around and they go back. But we've got a beautiful sunset. Tom loves Anacortes. I hear that, Tom. Washington Park. If you ever get the chance, if you live here in Washington or if you are a visitor, Anacortes is a great place to visit, and make sure you go to Washington Park. For me, the first time I went there, I thought this is like being on the Oregon coast. Not Cannon Beach, but further south, where you have some of the rocky bluffs and spectacular views, and you're high up. You travel down to Seattle for all the Packers games. Ah, gotcha. That's interesting, Carrie. You know what? I used to work in Green Bay, and I got to do a few Packers stories at Lambeau when I was a reporter in Green Bay in the early 90s. It's interesting, we do get here in Washington State, we get a lot of Canadian fans coming down for various sports, right? Especially a lot of Blue Jays fans come down. For me, the origin of all that in my life and my experience in it was back in the early 1970s, because I grew up a fan of the original Seattle Sounders soccer team in the North American Soccer League, and I was truly a fanatic. And boy, when they played the Whitecaps, those fans came down from Canada singing and their scarves and their caps, the whole 9 yards. And that was my first exposure to it. Tom says, Washington Park is your favorite. Hey, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. Those are nice words. Go Patriots. Yeah. So then there's Tom. Tom's over there on Whidbey Island. He's in our chat here. Alan Hinton, there you go. I'll tell you a real quick story. Before my dad passed, when I was a kid, he always said, "One day you'll take me to a Sounders game." And we're going back to the '70s, and he would drive me to the games when I was in middle school or elementary school and middle school. And so, lo and behold, when I returned to Washington State in 2008, because my broadcast career took me to other states for a number of years, 20 odd years for the most part, I got to take him to some of the new Sounders games in Seattle. And we were sitting there waiting for I see a bald eagle in the distance coming off the water, but it's too far away. And anyway, um, prior to a game, we're sitting in the stands. Kickoff hasn't happened yet, and I see this guy from the far end of the field, and we were sitting in a luxury box. We were very lucky that day. Um, at field level, and across the field, I saw this guy walking across toward us from the far end of the field, not really toward us, but to center field. And I said, "Dad, that's Jimmy Gabriel." Back when the Whitecaps were good. And, very old Jimmy Gabriel, but I recognized the guy. Not just, because I could see his face because he was so far away, but just by the movement. I mean, I recognized Jimmy Gabriel. That was just amazing. Jimmy Gabriel was a player and player coach with the early Sounders. Hinton coached the Sounders, but played a few years for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Yes. I'll say something else about there's a social media guru on YouTube from British Columbia. She lives in or just outside of Vancouver, I imagine. And her name's Sunny Lenarduzzi. And it took me, I was slow. I knew the last name, but when she mentioned her dad was a professional soccer player when she was growing up, I went, was it Bob Lenarduzzi? And sure enough, that's her dad. He was a Vancouver Whitecap, and I remember the name from the old Whitecaps days. Yeah, Bob. There you go, Carrie. But man, I tell you what, it was such a treat. I got to watch a lot of players when I was a kid live in person, beyond their peak, because that's what happened. The Pelés, saw him twice. Uh, Jeff Hurst, George Best, Eusebio. I saw a lot of great soccer players. Back when general admission was about $2.50, starting in Seattle's Memorial Stadium, and then onto the Kingdome. First sporting event held in the Kingdome was an exhibition soccer game between the Sounders and the Cosmos. I was there. Cosmos won 3-1. Jimmy Gabriel scored the Sounders' lone goal on a header. I was sitting in general admission, and he was coming our way, so he poked it in the net right in front of us. That was pretty cool. How many people really know what I'm talking about? I think we've got Carrie in Vancouver. When you get a chance, look up Defina and Euclid. It's a beautiful place. Outdoorsman's dream. I definitely will. And Hockey Rule says, yes, he became a GM for the Caps. So I get the sense we have both soccer and hockey fans here. And definitely a football fan right out that way, and Tom on Whidbey Island. Somebody throw me a score. I told my wife, I said, okay, if the Zags can get it down to 12, this is before I hit the road to come here. If they can get it down to 12 and regroup, and if Baylor just cools off a bit, shoots a realistic, I think they were 58% from 3-point land in the half, if I heard the radio stat on the way out here correctly. All right. Tell you what I want to do. I want to show you that we can see the light of the historic cemetery here. Beautiful summit, beautiful historic summit. Lighthouse is what I want me to say. I'm standing in the cemetery. Come on, Mark. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, there it is on the right side of the screen, just above a red roof. You can see that light blinking on. There it is. That's a beautiful cemetery, lighthouse. I keep saying cemetery because both are very historic. Maybe that's the reason. If you come to Mukilteo and you get a chance, go there. Even if you don't get in, it's still a really a wonderful visit. It's a beautiful little courtyard area around it. And yeah, I think I just saw a California sea lion. Hang on. I think it went down about right there. Let's give it a minute. Might be moving right to left. I'll keep an eye out here. See if something pops up. Water is really calm. You're absolutely right. I'm not even wearing a jacket, which for me is unusual so far this year because it's usually cold. Okay, there it is. There's that sea lion. It just went down there. Okay, hang on. He's out to the right of. So we got this rock down there, at the bottom of the screen, and it's out right in this area. It just popped up there anyway. Let's. Oh, there we go. There it is. There's at least one of them out there, and it was working its way right to left. So I'd say about 40, 45 yards out there from the shoreline. Chase some fish. It's what they do. Any whales here? In the area? Yeah. I mean, I'm not seeing them at the moment, but definitely. And there sometimes the orcas are seen in this area, but you know what? You know what the orcas typically do? They're much more likely to be on the other side of that island. If you look at a map of Puget Sound and you look at Whidbey Island, you'll see it's a very narrow island, but it sure is long. Anyway, the popular passage for uh, orcas, killer whales, is on the other side of that island. Not that they don't show up over here, they do, but far more common to see them on the other side of the island. Now you will see, gray whales in this area as well. I've been doing live broadcasts up here for at least 6 years now, and still shooting video and still photography before that time. So I've been coming up here since about 2008, 2009. This time around with a camera. And I say this time around because I grew up here and moved away, but I didn't used to come out here when I was younger with a camera. And I've seen one whale in this general area myself. But you can go on YouTube and look up Mukilteo and killer whale, and you'll find some video. When I was up on Camano Island last year, during I want to say the summer, I could see off to the distance toward Whidbey Island some gray whales because I could see their spouts going up. And I did a Periscope broadcast at the time to show that. It was a lot of fun. Okay, what we're going to do now is I mentioned that those sea lions were traveling right to left, north to south. So they might be down here a bit. Let's see if we can spot them over here. The Zags down by 14. Yeah, see, they just fell into that hole. That's a tough hole to come up from against such a quality team. You basically need Baylor to go cold and not get to the foul line. That's basically what you need. You need them to have an uncommonly cold stretch to make up for that first half. Yeah, I'm just going to keep an eye out here for just a moment. What's interesting is we're getting some waves off to the right, and I'm not sure why. Unless it's just delayed from the ferry. Okay, I'm not seeing the sea lions. So let's go over here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. No, it's not a tsunami, but we are definitely getting waves. You know how calm and quiet it was? Well, you missed the shopping part in Washington State too, as well as sightseeing. Ah, We get a lot of Canadians that come down for shopping, especially at our outlets. You saw how calm it was just a moment ago. I don't think all of this is from, I can even see it not only there, but out there. That's really interesting. I don't think all that's from the ferry. We don't usually see that happen. Something that's really interesting. Theories, anybody? If I was if I wasn't live streaming, I always get notifications from the USGS when there are earthquakes or decent sized earthquakes around the world. But that is interesting. I don't think that's what's happened here, but I'm trying to understand why this is happening all of a sudden. Thanks, Carrie. I appreciate that. Really appreciate you watching. Take care. Nice to have you here. Sasquatch. Tom. I can actually be out here tonight without my mask on because there is no one else here. And that's, again, one of the reasons I love it here at Pioneer Sub. See, I put the word out and then people show up, and that has happened. Same thing with another spot in Snohomish, but Pioneer Cemetery on Webster Street. Got the whole place to myself. And I also have my mask in case anybody shows up. So I do have that. I have heard about the Canucks, and this is COVID related. Big problem with several people related. And thank you so much for subscribing, Carrie. I appreciate that. Janine, you want to come on and talk to me about it? Let's get Janine in here if she wants to play ball. Although she has difficulty with her iPhone 12. Let's see if she can join us. And she can probably say it a lot faster than I can try to piece it together, reading her text and so forth. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to bring me so much in there. Let's flip this around. Let's see if we can do something else with our shot. That is so strange, Janine. You have an iPhone 12 and you can't do that. Someone mentioned flowers earlier. Here we have some daffodils. Down by 18, Tom. Oh my gosh. Only 16 players and coaches tested positive with the Canucks. Oh my gosh. I don't know how long we're going to continue to have the good fortune of these clear skies, but yesterday I was looking at one of my apps and looking at the sunrise and the moonrise, and I'm not seeing as much of the moon um, as it's waning, but by Friday I know that the moonrise is going to be, I think, within an hour's time of sunrise. So Canucks will be the Kraken's rival next year. There you go, Tom. And I just saw 2 sea lions out there. There's one of them. We're coming up on that time where a little bit deeper into the year, we'll start hearing the great blue herons coming in the evening twilight. They make this, what I imagine to be a pterodactyl type sound. They always sound so prehistoric. There's a nest near here, and so they pass oftentimes left to right as they come in for the evening. Remember I mentioned that the sea lions go right to left and they turn around and they come back, and that's what's going on out there right now. They're heading the other direction. Should become a good rivalry. Let's hope so. Knowing the fan bases, it's got all the makings for one. Definitely from the fan standpoint. I'm going to be right over here. There are some folks below with their dog walking in the midst of the railroad tracks a few years ago, and those, Tom, you were probably watching. I stood right here, and there were some young guys down here, and one of them got in between those rails. There was a train coming from the left, the BNSF, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, a freight train, right? And he's doing push-ups right down there. The train's coming. The train starts blasting its horn, and it was all captured live on Periscope. Right between those tracks right there. There was another time I was here and I started hearing sirens, and a boat was sinking, and a ferry went way off course to go help out. I'm gonna try and find these sea lions, see the ripples. Yeah, you remember that, Tom? And so I went down to the ferry dock and I got the 3 guys that were rescued from their boat because their boat went down, and the ferry went and rescued them toward the south end of Whidbey Island, and I interviewed them on Periscope as they came off the ferry. Anyone studying? I'm 21 and a half hours down I-5. Is that the road trip that's involved to come to Seattle for you? Boy, you got beautiful. So anyway, the 2 sea lions are out there going away from us right now. We got beautiful color in the sky here in twilight. Ferry has, I've been live streaming for a while because here we are again. Anyone, oh, I gotta share that joke. Okay. So here's the deal. Anyone studying? That's another event. Tom's got all the references down. It's kind of like watching Jeff Pietrowski do, if I'm saying his last name correctly, cover tornadoes and hurricanes, Blue Shed, right? So here on uh, the history on this very spot, I had this woman shout at me because I was out talking like I'm talking to you, right? I was the only one here, but this woman lives to this place right over here, the nearest place. Spectacular view. She got on our deck there and she started yelling at me for being too loud. She was trying to study. So there's the inside scoop. I almost said scope. All right. What I've noticed, not only do we get the bald eagles here, perched on these trees here, they're not here at the moment that I know of. We had one right up there a few days ago when I was scoping, but I noticed a lot of them come off the water, and just south of us here, those trees over there, they spend time there. And there was one time last year where I literally stood right over here. It's so cool to have moments like what I'm about to describe. And I locked in the camera on a bald eagle that was out that way, coming off the water, flying towards us at, not eye level, but give or take 40 feet, coming our way, came towards us, and then it peeled off and went to the left. That was beautiful. And Yassine Moore at Yassine says, Beyond 90 seconds, thanks for sharing the beautiful scenery. Thank you, Peter, just checking this gorgeous replay. Thank you, Yassine. Nice to have you, and we're still very much live. Maybe it feels like it should be in replay status because I've been live for a while. How can you tell how many viewers are present? There used to be a viewer's number shown. I'm showing 169 viewers here on the HAPS app. There's an icon that says that. And I don't know if that's total viewers, which I suspect it is from the duration, or if it's present viewers, but I could be wrong. It could be, watching at this moment. No worries. No worries, Yassine. You can't see it. Ah, okay. Well, I could tell you I've been streaming for 36 minutes. And it says 169. I guess it's an eyeball, so it probably means watching right now. And then it tells me that 30 cents has been donated, contributed, and that my cell signal gives me, it looks like all the bars that are available, and it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. They're all lit up. And Dave's Chicago bar is here. Hey, how you doing there, Dave? Man, I tell you what, I love the way you do your show and you have all sorts of people jump on and have some really good conversation. I'm guessing you were watching or still are watching. What happened just now was interesting. Even though my signal is great, it said end broadcast. Maybe it's perhaps it's encouraging me to end. I think actually it had a momentary signal degradation or something. Real quick though, let's show you the ferry leaving Mukilteo. Just over the rooftop there, you can see some movement. That's a very large ship. Those ships, those boats, we have two of them in the nearby area right now on the move. They can hold up, and there's a flash of the historic lighthouse through the trees. But they hold up to roughly 180, 200 vehicles as well as walk-on uh, traffic, and it's really popular for not only tourists, but it's a staple for people in their daily commutes on Whidbey Island and between Whidbey Island and the mainland. It's only 15 or 20 minutes um, from here to right over there, where the dock is on Whidbey Island. But let's watch, as I say, the proverbial two ships passing in the night. My pleasure. No worries. Thank you very much for watching, Yassine. I appreciate it. A lot of people who come and visit the Northwest, if they're in the Puget Sound area, they'll hop on a ferry and go explore. It's a lot of fun. In fact, you can take a ferry north of here in Anacortes, Washington. We were talking about Anacortes earlier. You can take a ferry from Anacortes to destinations in the San Juans and even weave through the San Juan Islands and go into Canada. I think I don't think it docks in Victoria, but nearby Sydney, if I'm not mistaken. Sydney, Canada, as opposed to the well known Sydney south of the equator in Australia. What is Zoom? Right on, Peter. We're holding out pretty well here. I'm using a gimbal, but I'm able to charge my phone off my gimbal. I used to have a different gimbal, but it didn't allow me with my bigger phone to charge my phone while I was on the gimbal. So I got a DJI Osmo and a magnetic clip. It frees up the butt end of the phone, if you will, and I can put my iPhone charger into the phone, and I can also plug it in to the gimbal itself and keep the darn phone charged. So that's really good. Historically, what I've done is I'm usually, and I've just broken my habit over that I had for years. I would be out with my tripod with my DSLR on it, and I would mount my phone atop my DSLR, and I would wear a wireless mic and the whole nine yards. But now lately I find myself, because I'm busy with other projects, and my time is you wouldn't know it the way I'm going on here, but my time I haven't been spending as much time doing live streaming. But so I try to get out and deploy quickly, get streaming, and then break down and get out quickly. So I'm not lugging around as much gear. Now, as a result, that also means part of the equation that's missing from what I did for years is I'm not taking pictures and posting on social, and then people can say, "Ah, I was watching when he was taking that picture," and so forth. Victoria, too, is in Australia. Yes. Yeah, isn't that something? Do you have a Melbourne up north? Or Melbourne? Well, guys, it's been a beautiful. Peter, I'll share with you, since I think this might be the first time you've hopped on, and it's a pleasure to have you here from Haps. You know, no matter where you all watching, what platform, it's really nice to have you here. I really appreciate it. I jokingly started this a year or two ago. Yeah, it's kind of funny to say jokingly in a dark cemetery, but we'll do it here per common practice now for these scopes on the bluff. A little tongue in cheek as I say that this completes our broadcast day. Thank you very much for watching and joining. It's been a pleasure to have you here. I look forward to engaging with you all more on HAPS and elsewhere. It's nice to have HAPS available to us, especially for all of us who were on Periscope all those years, building a community. And it feels like much of that community has comfortably found its way to HAPS, where it's now embedded and becoming familiar with the landscape, and watching the people at HAPS listen, even having the opportunity to speak to them, and watch these regular updates, as HAPS is definitely listening as well and doing some neat things. It's my pleasure. Hockey rules. And speaking of, the Periscope days, just, hockey rules. Tom, Kit, Janine, all these folks who have gravitated over from Periscope. It's so cool that we're able to stay engaged and stay in touch. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening, wherever you might be. And I also want to thank replay viewers. Still some light, and I can't wait, because we get more of this daylight every day now, going into the spring, deeper into spring and summer. And past 10 o'clock, we'll still have some light in the middle of summer. And as Tom says, Zags still down by 14. Tracy, thanks for always sharing the beautiful views. You're welcome, Tracy. All right, take care, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.